Welcome to another episode of Bargain on Saturdays. In this way, I decided to take a look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2007 animated film, which I honestly thought was going to suck. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of CGI films, and there's just so many of them I've watched that are just god-awful. Amazon Jack definitely comes to mind with that. I mean, it's a movie that just not only looks awful, the story and the way it's written and told is also unbelievably bad. It's painful to sit through. I'm not trying to say that all CGI films are bad, because there are obvious exceptions to this, by like How to Train Your Dragon and whatnot, but there's so many slocky CGI titles out there that are being pushed into bargain bins. That's hard not to hate this film almost on general principle that because it's a CGI film. Heck, there's even live action films that have allowed themselves to be overtaken by CGI in the past, like the Star Wars prequels. Any attempt at good storytelling is sort of ruined by the need to constantly shove stuff on screen with CGI. Even when it has no real purpose other than to just fill the screen with stuff going on in the background. It just starts to kill the film and gets really annoying to deal with. And a lot of it looks so fake to the human eye that it's just irritating to watch. I mean, the human eye is decent at spotting fakeness after a while. I mean, sure, this stuff doesn't look real per se, but considering it's at least consistent, it's at least kind of cover itself better than, say, the Star Wars prequels. But it's also a decent film unto itself, with some pretty good scenes with like Raph giving up the Night Watcher helmet at the end of the movie, and Mikey coming in to make a comedic slide to give up his giant turtle head for his entertainment job. And there's even an emotional fight scene between Raph and Leo on the rooftops in the rain. There's just good scenes in this film that make it work far better than you'd probably expect. Which is an upvote in my opinion. I mean, after all, after seeing some episodes of The Next Mutation, I honestly wish the series decided to copy more of the formula from this one about family bonds and trying to rebond after being separated for so long when Leo went off to go train to become a better leader, but forgot his brothers and everything about his family as he got caught up in his training and trying to help the people of the jungle out. He lost sight of himself and who he was. Having that as a conflict throughout the movie was a good idea. I question the idea of bringing in 13 monsters and an immortal warrior into the series, but at least it wasn't a rehash of, say, movies we've already gotten with the Shredder being the main villain. The movie does hint at the Shredder coming back real soon as an enemy for the Turtles, despite the fact that Turtles believed at the time he was deceased. Which I suppose I can't fault them on. This movie itself seems to be tied in more to the 2003 cartoon series, where there was a point where they thought they had killed and defeated the Shredder, only for him to eventually come back. Plus, you might want to be somewhat familiar with the 2003 series just to know who Karai is, because otherwise you might be wondering who on earth this woman is that's leading the foot, because without being familiar with the 2003 series or the comics, you might not know who she is at all. And I'm not sure they really drop her name in the movie itself. They might mention it briefly during one of the fight scenes, but there isn't really a real major focus on Karai as a character, because she's not really important. After all, this is a story about the brothers rebonding after they've been separated. You can also argue it parallels the Mortal Warrior and his Mortal King and his four generals, and how eventually they split, because the four generals would rather stay immortal, even if it means being stone statues for the rest of their lives, than giving up their immortality and passing on to the next life. Or simply disappearing forever if you're not a believer in an afterlife. Either or. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and all that. But yeah, I was honestly surprised this is actually pretty decent. Till next time then, see ya.
Looks like it's just you and me, Shaky. Take it easy. I'm not gonna hurt you. Much. Boom!